So MLB Network announced yesterday that they have officially cut ties with the best baseball reporter and writer in the business, Ken Rosenthal, after he publicly bashed the commissioner, Rob Manfred. I know, this is beyond ridiculous, but sadly, it's true. Now, before we get into the video, guys, as always, do a couple of things for me, please. First, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Next, go over, smash that red button, go subscribe. That is the best way to show your support here on the channel. And if you want to get notified when exactly I'm pumping out great baseball content on the channel, ring that bell. And if you want to get active, go down below in the comment section. I would love to hear your thoughts on this particular story. And one more thing, if you guys could go check out my two friends, Luke from Philly's Hot Stove Media and Hayden from Mets Talk with Hayden. They're both here on YouTube, and you know what? They make banger baseball content basically day in and day out, and they have helped me out so much in this past year in growing my YouTube channel. So if you guys could go over, I'll leave the links to the channel in the description down below. Go over, check them out. Don't be afraid to subscribe. They would appreciate it, and I would appreciate it as well. So now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to take a look at a Yahoo Sports article which explains exactly why Ken Rosenthal got the can from MLB Network. So the article is titled, MLB Network Cuts Ties with Ken Rosenthal Reportedly Over Criticism of Rob Manfred. Now that title just makes me roll my eyes because it just sounds so ridiculous. It sounds like fake news. It really does. But unfortunately, it's not. In the very first paragraph of this article, it's a big telltale sign of why they did it and why they could do it. Why they could fire Ken Rosenthal from the network. So it says, quote, one of the biggest reporters in baseball is no longer welcome on MLB Network. Here it is. The league-owned network has cut ties with Ken Rosenthal, and it is believed that Rosenthal's past criticism of MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred in columns written for The Athletic played a part in the decision, according to Andrew Merchant of the New York Post. It says Rosenthal was reportedly kept off the air for 3 months in 2020 after he wrote columns analyzing Manfred's handling of negotiations over a season threatened and ultimately shrunk by the COVID-19 pandemic. However, no formal suspension was ever announced and Rosenthal was still paid, ultimately returning for MLB Network's trade deadline coverage at the end of August of last season. So after he came back at that trade deadline day, it says Rosenthal was once again a regular on the network after that, but his contract ultimately expired at the end of 2021. They never picked it up. But why? Why wouldn't you pick up the contract of, in my opinion, the best baseball writer and reporter, most reliable one by far in the business? Now here is the other aspect that just does not make sense to me when it comes to this letting go of Ken Rosenthal by the network. Now in this article, you know, they say that it was due to past criticism that Rosenthal made in articles that he wrote for The Athletic, a different entity, a different company. The Athletic has no association with MLB or MLB Network. Now, I could see if he wrote it on MLB.com or he criticized Manfred on the network directly, you know, on live air. But it looks like that this article is saying that he only criticized Manfred in articles he wrote for The Athletic. So how? How can you fire a guy for critiquing you, being Manfred, on a different platform and a different company for a different company? The Athletic. That's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. How can Manfred fire Rosenthal for what he said for The Athletic and you fire him from his job at MLB Network? That doesn't make sense. It does not make any sense. That's why I think this whole story and this whole situation is stupid. It's so stupid, so arrogant by the network, and I really think it's coming from big old Robbie, big old Bobby. Bobby decided to drop the hammer on little 5'4" Ken Rosenthal. Seriously, it's ridiculous. Now I'm going to read you what a MLB Network spokesperson told the New York Post about this Ken Rosenthal departure. It says, quote, Ken played a significant part at MLB Network over the last 13 years. From spring training to the winter meetings, we thank him for his work across MLB Network studios, game and event programming, and wish him the very best going forward. That was as bland as could be. Of course, that probably was written by the chief himself, Bobby Manfred. I'm calling him Bob. I have no respect for him. I'm calling him Bob. It doesn't even matter. Now, the next part I'm going to read you here cracks me up. I think this is hilarious. And this is why he is the best in the business. Okay, listen to this. It says, quote, Rosenthal confirmed he was done at MLB Network in subsequent tweets with a pointed note about maintaining his journalistic integrity and confirmed he will continue to work at The Athletic and Fox Sports. So, Ken Rosenthal went on Twitter, tweeted out the news of his own, basically, firing. That is so funny, so sad, and so professional all at once. Like, this dude's legit. I have the utmost respect for him when he did that. And here's a tweet, by the way. I can read you it. Here's the first one. Ken Rosenthal on Twitter says, quote, can confirm MLB Network has decided to not bring me back. I'm grateful for the more than 12 years I spent there and my enduring friendship with on-air personalities, producers, and staff. I always strove to maintain my journalistic integrity, and my work reflects that. 1 out of 2 tweets. The second tweet read this, quote, nothing else is changing for me professionally. I am proud to remain part of the great teams at The Athletic and Fox Sports. Now, the thing that makes me laugh when it comes to these 2 tweets is what he said in the first tweet. And it's literally the second word. Can confirm. Like, can confirm. He's so professional that this guy says can confirm. And trust me, this is the most legit tweet he has ever put out ever regarding any type of news. Whether it's baseball, any other sport, doesn't matter. This is the most legitimate tweet he has put out in his career. That is funny and sad, but still funny. Now, there's a part in the article which answers the question everybody wants to know, which is what did Ken Rosenthal write that got him off of MLB Network? Well, it says, quote, the columns that got Rosenthal in hot water with MLB Network would have come around June 2020, when the league and the MLB Players Association were trading barbs and proposals with the season still shut down by the pandemic. Rosenthal was among the most active writers on the topic, with his byline appearing 27 times on The Athletic in June alone. So he was on this story like a bee to honey. Nearly all of those articles cover the negotiations, some as straight news articles and others coming from an analytical perspective, or an opinionative perspective like we mentioned earlier. The harshest words came in a column published June 16th with the headline reading, quote, Rosenthal, Manfred must strike a deal with the players or ruin his legacy, in which the reporter accused the commissioner of, quote, performing a massive flip-flop, and alludes to a perception he is beholden to the owners and out of touch with the players. There are also paragraphs like this, quote, Manfred and the owners, supposed stewards of the game, are turning the national pastime into a national punchline, effectively threatening to take their ball and go home while the country struggles with medical, economic, and social concerns. Baseball's a business. We all know that. But it's a business that former Commissioner Bud Selig describes as a social institution with social responsibilities, a business that holds an antitrust exemption, distinguishing itself from every other professional league. Such a business should hold itself to a higher standard. But in these talks, if you can even call them that, Manfred and the owners keep sinking lower. Unless making dead-on-arrival proposals, tone-deaf public remarks, and other assorted blunders is your idea of negotiating savvy. Now, I will say, those are some pretty harsh remarks, but again, he has a freedom of speech. The First Amendment in the Constitution, freedom of speech, expression, okay? He has the right to do so. Now, whether I agree with it, or you agree with it, or I disagree with it, or you disagree with it, it doesn't matter because he has a right to say whatever. Is it a good idea to lie? No, because it ruins your integrity. But if it is a opinionative column, it's all fair game. I mean, he should be able to say whatever. He should be able to say that Rob Manfred is the stupidest person he's ever seen. He's allowed to say that this guy should be fired tomorrow. Whether it's true or not, whether he has evidence or not to back up that claim or idea or proof that he's actually a bad guy, it's irrelevant because it's an opinionative column. It's opinionated. That's the point. Finally, the last paragraph of the article says, quote, "That is all undoubtedly harsh criticism, but it's probably worth noting that Rosenthal wasn't the only reporter harshly criticizing Manfred for how he handled a season under threat of cancellation. However, this is where it gets interesting, Rosenthal may have been the only one to do so on an MLB payroll." Now, the last sentence there, what does that mean? I think it could mean two things. One is that he's the only reporter who was criticizing Manfred that was actually getting paid by MLB. Because again, as I noted in the beginning of the article, MLB Network is owned by MLB. So I'm sure he's getting his paycheck from MLB. So Manfred is like paying and providing to Rosenthal's family while Rosenthal is ripping into Rob Manfred, is indirect higher authority. So that's what it could mean. Or it could mean that he was the only reporter and the only person at the network who was getting paid a lot of money. Because when they say on an MLB payroll, maybe that means like he was the highest paid reporter at the network. And he was getting top dollar to criticize the top man, Rob Manfred. And maybe Manfred didn't like that. Maybe saying, why are we paying this guy top dollar to criticize me? That's not flying anymore. You're done. And they let him go. So that's really all I got. Comment down below your thoughts on that last part we went over. And as always, I'll catch you guys later.